Hi everyone, this is Ravi. Welcome back to Cypress Automation Beginners Tutorial. So this is our sixth lesson on Cypress Automation tool concepts. So as you all know, in my previous session, we have started a concepts of locators. How can we identify the elements of your application in Cypress Automation tool? What are all the different techniques that we can use in locating the elements of your application? So this is what the concepts that I have covered in my previous session. So this session is an extension of our previous session. So in this session, I'm going to teach you more techniques to identify the elements of your application. So we are going to see some of the methods, like how can we use methods like contains, find and get methods in Cypress to identify the elements. So in my previous session, I have explained you all different techniques of get method. So in this session, I'm going to cover contains and find methods, and also I'm going to teach you how can we combine these methods. Means how can I use get and contain method together in locating my element, and also how can I combine methods like get and find methods in locating the elements. So these are all really very important concepts in real time, because identifying the object of your application is not that easy. So if you know all these techniques, then it will be very easy for you to identify the elements of your application. So please do subscribe to the channel, click on bell icon. You'll receive notifications whenever I publish more videos. Thank you. Okay, so in this session, we are going to cover the following topics. Okay, so first I'm going to teach you how can we use contains method in locating the elements. So within the contains method, there are different techniques that you can use. So you can get the element by text by using contains method, or you can get the element by any selector, combination of selector and the text as well. And you can also get the element by tag name and text. So I'm going to teach you all these concepts by using an application, real-time application, so that you understand how to use these element locator methods, okay, in locating the different types of elements. Okay, and also I'm going to teach you how can you combine get and contain method in identifying the elements. And also I'm going to teach you the method called find. So find method we'll be using to get the descendant DOM elements. Okay, that means, so you should have a parent and child relation in the DOM elements. Okay, so I'm going to explain you all these concepts. Okay, and also we're going to combine get and find method also. Okay, so basically to locate elements, right, you have a different techniques, and you can use multiple methods in locating the elements in Cypress. Okay, in my previous session, as I explained you, I have already covered the method called get method. Okay, within the get method, I showed different techniques in identifying the elements. Okay, so this session I'm going to concentrate more on contains and find method, and also combination of get contain and the combination of find contain. Okay, so now let's jump onto the system and see how can we perform all these actions. So this is my Visual Studio Code. So I have already explained you how can we install Visual Studio Code and how to set the environment for Cypress and how can we install the Cypress in my previous sessions. Okay, so I would recommend you guys to visit my previous session. So in my previous session, I have explained you different techniques to use the get method, right? So how can you get all the elements by using tag name? How can you get all the elements by using class names? And then how can you use the attribute parameter? And how can you get by using ID? How can you get the elements by using tag and class name combinations, right? All these concepts we read. Okay, now let's now learn the concepts of contain. Okay, so here I'm gonna write a new test case here. Okay, so what is the test case? In Mocha, as I explained you, it block is a test function in Mocha. Okay, it, I'm going to specify. Now what is my test case name? Get elements using contains, right? This is my next test case function, and then I'm going to write all the functions here. Okay, so what is our first method? So if you go to cypress.io, okay, if you go to cypress.io here, and let's go to docs and see what is contains, right? So here I can search, here I can search contains. So if you see here, this contains, right? So how this contains works? Contains works in a such a way that, so this is find, right? This is find, and you have contains also. So this is contains, right? Contains, get DOM element containing the text. That means you can get a DOM element, any kind of element of your application which contains a part of text. So DOM element can contain more than the desired text, but still it matches. Okay, so you have all examples here, right? You can go through this particular page. Okay, so now let's go back to my Visual Studio Code. Here, first let's do a simple contain. Okay, first get element by unique text. Okay, so here, as I explained you earlier, I have an inbuilt application that I already explained you guys. Okay, what is that? The inbuilt application I have is this one, right? This is my inbuilt application. So if you see here, these are all the different buttons I have. Now I'm gonna identify all these buttons by using different techniques and different methods. Okay, so for the first time, I mean, what is this element? Okay, let's see. This button has a text called unique text, correct? This button has a text called unique text. So now I'm gonna find the element by using this text. Okay, so that means by using unique text, sci dot contains. So I'm not using get here. Okay, I'm using contains. Sci dot contains unique text. Okay, let's save this. As soon as you save, my application will up and running. Okay, let me see my application is whether it is up and, sorry, Cypress is closed. So what I need to do is I have to start the Cypress. For that, npx, which is a local command, npx Cypress open. Okay, so these concepts I already explained in my previous sessions. Okay, go through all those sessions so that you will understand the concepts. Okay, so now what I am doing, actually I am initiating the Cypress, and this initiates the Cypress, which will have all the JS files that you created. So we created JS file called locators, right? Go to locators here, locators, click on this. As soon as you click on this, the script will run. Okay, it's going to run your script. So your tests are loading. Okay, so now it's loaded. So if you see, I have created a new test now. What is the new test? Get elements using contains. See, this is my describe. So what I described it as locators. Under this, a first test function called locating elements with get, and second one test called locating elements using contains, right? Under this we have wrote one test case. If you see here, this is now identifying the button that we just now identified. So I am identifying the element by unique text by using contain method. Okay, and let's see now, if you see here, if these buttons, let's see other buttons. Okay, if you see not unique text buttons, right? If I hover here, if you see, this element has not unique text, and this element also has a not unique text, and this element also has a not unique text. That means you have buttons with the same text. Okay, so let's identify that buttons. Okay, let me see now what happens. Okay, get element by text which is not unique. Okay, sci dot contains, what is the element? I want to identify the buttons that has a text of this. Okay, now let's save this. As soon as you save, the script will run. So now what happens, we'll see. What is happening here, it is actually giving me not unique text. It gave me one not unique text which contains not unique text, right? So let me see. Okay, so what is happening actually, if you see, there are 3 buttons that has a not unique text, but it is giving me only one button, because the contains method, what it will do, it first identifies the element which has a not unique text, whatever we specified. So once it identifies, it's going to return. It's not going to identify, it's not going to check other elements. So it's going to return the element which has a match at the beginning, because this is my first element, this is my first button which is matching. That's why immediately it returned. But it's not going to look for other elements which have the same property, right? So because my first button, this button got matched, immediately it gave me the result. But let's say I want this button, second button. I don't want first button, I want second button. What should I do? Because the not unique text, the text of this button is not unique. It's not unique, it's a duplicate. So it's giving me first button, but I want to basically identify the second button. What can I do? Okay, so let's do one thing. Okay, you can basically get the elements by using contain. What we did till now, we are actually getting the element by using text. Now what I will do, get element by text and attribute also, and attribute selector. So basically what I am doing now, I am also gonna add a selector so that I can identify my second button, right? So if you see my second button here, I can see one attribute called type attribute, right? So I can specify this type attribute along with the text so that I can identify the second button uniquely. Okay, how? Let's see. Sci dot contains, I'm going to specify here attribute. Attribute actually is specified within the square braces. I explained this concept earlier. Okay, what is the attribute? Type is my attribute, and what is the attribute value? It's a submit. Correct? If you see, this is submit. Correct? Submit, that is my attribute, and also I'm going to specify this text. So what I am saying, identify an element which has an attribute of type equal to submit and also the text of not unique. Now let's save this. If you see here, this time it should identify the unique second button. See, this one, it is identifying first button because as soon as it matches the criteria, it is giving me the button, because this criteria is matched by 3 different buttons, correct? Now I want a specific second button, that's why I added an attribute of type, and then also I combined with a text. Okay, that's how you can combine your attribute selector and the text by using contains method. Okay, that is one thing. And then how can I combine? So instead of within contain, I used 2 different methods right here. Instead of that, you can also do one thing: get element, okay, by get and contains combination. That means I can also get this element in the different manner, which is sci.get. What I am going to do, I am going to specify the attribute here, the same attribute called type, right? And then dot contains. So first it's going to retrieve all the elements that has attribute called type equal to submit, and then out of those elements it's going to retrieve, it's going to filter out the element that has the text called not unique. Okay, I will show you once it is running. Okay, once it runs, let's save this. If you see here closely, if you see here, see, first it is executing get method. As soon as it executes the get method, if you see here, it is actually returning 2 buttons. One is this button and the other one is this button, right? Because these 2 buttons has a type attribute. This one and this one also has a type attribute. See here, this has type attribute and this has type attribute. That's why it is returning 2. And then it returned 2, and then it filtered based on the contains. So at the end it is giving me only 1 button. Okay, this is only one function, but actually it differentiated this get method and then contain method. So out of 2 it picked only 1. Okay, that is done. So that means this is how you can combine get and contain method. And then also instead of this, I can use same get and get element. So now get element by text. I want to get the element by text and tag name form. Let's say, I'll tell you what is this. Okay, if you see this third button, okay, let me show you the third button here. This, okay, this one. Let's open this. And sorry, okay, this method, sorry, this button. So this button, so if you see, this button is under a tag name called form, correct? The parent node is form and then child node is again button. So we have a tag name called form. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this button. How? I'm going to use a method of text and the tag name. How? Sci dot contains, first I'm going to specify the tag name of form, right? Form, and then I'm going to specify this unique text again. That's it. So that means now when I run this, I should get last not unique text button. Okay, so when I execute this, if you see here, see this one, I got last unique not unique text button, the last button, correct? So this is how you can basically combine text and tag name together in the contains method. Okay, and then now I think hopefully we covered most of the concepts corresponding to contains. Now what is find? So if you see Cypress IO, let me go to cypress.io. So if you see here, find method gets the descend DOM elements of a specific selector. That means if you have a parent node, under parent node, let's say you have two different elements as a child elements, then you can get one of the child element by using find. First I'm going to find the parent node, and from the parent node I'm going to get the child. I'm going to find the child element. Okay, let me show you an example here. Okay, so for that let's create another it block, which is it test function. Okay, let's create it. This test case is get elements using find method. Okay, find method, by using find method function. Okay, here what I'm going to do, okay, if you see the last find buttons, okay, let's see here we have a buttons called these buttons, right? Under here, if you hover on these buttons, if you inspect these buttons, these two buttons are defined under a form ID called form1. Under form ID form1, you have two different elements, correct? So now I'm going to use find method in this case because I have a parent node and then child node, right? So how I'm going to use, let's write side dot get. First what I want to get, I want to get an ID. What is my ID? ID is form, this one, right? This is my ID. So ID is denoted by hash ID. So this is going to give me two elements, and then I want to find a class. I want to find a class what? I want to find a class of btn-1, right? Class is defined with dot btn-1. So now if you execute this, what it will do, it actually, see again, third test method, which is get elements. You have total 3 test functions. Get elements using find method. If you see first get, here I am getting 2 elements. Under this, under form-1 ID, I have 2 elements. Out of these 2 elements, I am getting first button, which has a class of btn-1. Now let me copy this and let me get the second button under form. How? Again, my tag, the ID is again same, but this time my class is btn-2. So if you see here again, now if you see, it's getting 2 buttons, and then I'm finding first button. Again I am getting 2 buttons, and then I am getting second button. Okay, so that means you can use find for the descendant of your DOM elements. Descendant means your child. You should have parent-child relationship. Okay, hope you all understand the very important concepts. See, these are all very important concepts, guys, because for automating any application, you will have a lot of challenges in real time to identify the element locators. If you know all these different techniques, it's very easy for you to automate your entire application. If you have any queries, please do provide your comments in the comment box. I'll try to respond to your queries. Please do subscribe to the channel, click on bell icon. You'll receive notifications whenever I publish more videos. And I'm going to cover how to automate the test cases. We are going to automate the actual test cases from the next session. Okay, from the next lesson, I'm going to teach you how can we start automating the test cases, because we learned all the concepts of element locators. Now it's time for us to start automating the test cases. Thank you.